Tonight, some 24 hours after Marco Rubio scored the biggest political endorsement in South Carolina in Governor Nikki Haley, he was pushed off the front page by Trump's fight with the Pope. Senator Rubio is a devout Catholic, so what does he think of the dust-up? Joining us now, presidential candidate and Florida Senator Marco Rubio, along with the woman who just endorsed him, South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley, joining us from the Beacon Restaurant in Spartanburg, South Carolina. Great to see you both. All right, so Senator Rubio, let me start with you because before we get to the endorsement matter and ask you about Pope Francis's comments. You're a Catholic, and the Pope coming out today and saying that he does not believe that a person who thinks only about building walls and not bridges is a Christian. Your thoughts?
Well, first, this Pope wasn't speaking about a theological matter. He was speaking about a political matter. He has a right to speak out on that. I think it kind of oversimplifies the issue. I've disagreed with a lot of the things Donald Trump has said, but I do think America has a right to secure its border. And by the way, I think it's important to remember we're the most generous country in the world when it comes to immigration. I mean, we admit 1 million people a year permanently, legally, to this country. Mexico doesn't do that. Other countries don't do that. So, I understand the Pope's, he's a spiritual leader. He's the leader of the flock in terms of bringing people to the Lord. But on this issue, I would just say that while America certainly has been a country welcoming to immigrants, it also has to be a country that secures its border.
You gave Senator Rubio your endorsement yesterday, and now all the headlines have been, what a dream ticket this would be for the Republican Party. Diversity in gender, in ethnicity, in religion, and people believe that you guys are partnering maybe more in just an endorsement, maybe possibly in a ticket. You see it that way?
Not at all. I've said that my plate is full. I'm not only a mom, I've got a daughter that's going off to college next year, a son that's in middle school. I've got a state that I love. We haven't finished doing all the work we want to finish here, so I'm totally content and happy in South Carolina. What I do want to see is America get a great president, and I know that we can do that with Marco Rubio.
Now, I mentioned Senator Cruz a moment ago, and he's been in the news with respect to you today. The two of you having a dust-up over a website that he has posted that shows a clearly photoshopped picture of you and President Obama shaking hands. Now, one of his campaign representatives initially denied that this was photoshopped. Then some internet sleuths went and found what appears to be the stock photo upon which it was based. First of all, do you want to weigh in? It's been reversed, but you can see it's the same sort of bodies. First of all, is this photoshopped?
It is, of course.
Okay. And second of all, what do you make of the fact that, it now is apparently an indictment? I understand the differences between the Republicans and President Obama, but is now a campaign indictment just to show you shaking hands with the president, even if that were the case?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. It's not just, if it was just one incident, you would say, all right, well, it's just one of these things that happen in campaigns. But the problem is that every day now it appears that Senator Cruz's campaign either does or says something that simply isn't true. So this is part of a pattern. It began in Iowa when Ben Carson and the robocall saying he had dropped out of the race. It continued last week when he wasn't telling the truth about my record regarding Planned Parenthood, and so National Right to Life had to come out and call him out on it. It's just an ongoing pattern. And so, look, the important thing is that voters need to know that there's a campaign that's willing to say things, actually make things up. And of course, they literally made this up in terms of this mailer or this website or whatever it may be. So it's just part of a pattern. If it was only this, who cares? But it's not only this.
In Senator Cruz's defense, the situation in Iowa with respect to Ben Carson, can you truly say that the senator himself lied about that? I mean, the reports went out that he was not going on to New Hampshire, and his people say that was a good faith mistake on our part and that we've apologized on behalf of our staffers. Characterizing your record, I don't know. A lot of you guys mischaracterize each other's records in his defense.
Well, first of all, I don't want to relitigate the Iowa thing. It is what it is. But the bottom line, it wasn't just a tweet. I mean, they sent out robocalls to the recording is out there. And as far as my record, he basically implied that I did not support defunding Planned Parenthood. And in fact, National Right to Life came out and basically said, before Ted Cruz even got to the Senate, I was working on defunding Planned Parenthood. And that's an important issue to millions of people across this country, including myself, who were deeply offended by the practices of Planned Parenthood that were revealed last year in those videos. He's also mischaracterized my position on marriage and that it should be between one man and one woman. So look, again, it's not one incident, it's a number of issues over time that I just think, if we're going to run a campaign, we have legitimate differences between the candidates. Let's talk about those. Senator Cruz is weak on national security. We should talk about that. But I don't think it's fair to make things up.
We appreciate both of you being here.
Thanks so much, Megyn.